drive my car across country for me. And then I'd catch a Continental airline flight. First class seat is less than coach on any of them others. Business lady going to Phoenix. I wouldn't take the time to drive. You remember it's on the tape where that silly Pat lost a fortune. I'd call from airports. Always call when you're on the road. That's exciting to people. Long distance. Get everybody to do everything. Dave Harmon's here today, and Jack Tomacot's from Phoenix. They're two of them that'll be working under you, darling. They're big old single boys that absolutely need to be kicked between the legs. I mean, by a woman that liked them. Huh. Now, you'd say, well, maybe she didn't like them. Well, she likes them enough and wants to see them wealthy, and they both want to be wealthy, but both of them offered to drive stuff, and they've done it. Oh, Dave Harmon's been with us 2 years, and boy, he's growing. He just needs a woman to spur him to death, claw him all over him, under him. I'm telling you, slap him and say, hey. In case any of you people hadn't been doing it out there as independents, these people was talking to 20 people an hour. How many of you been talking to an hour? That's your main key. Now, let me tell you the thing that happened in the shower this morning is a $1 billion idea. Oh, y'all better get it and get it, get it, get it, get it, get it, get it. Now, so you're causing 2 people per hour to go for millionaireship, right? Now, what's this? We taught on the tapes that you'd sell the cash now, cassette programs, wholesale to people that you're talking to. You can sell them to anybody, but never sell them less than 20 is what that Jake had taught. But wait a minute, hold it. He's opening it up, and he said, okay, if you sold them 10, okay, go on and sell them a package of 10, and that'd be $100. You sell them to them for $10 a piece. But our Florida group's just been selling them in packages of 20, 50, and 100. 500, 1,000, 5,000, 10,000, 50,000, and 100,000. If you'll just notice, all you got to do is just put zeros on that all the way down. But you start off, but you can drop it down to 10. Now, sell them 10, 20, 50, 100, 500, 1,000, 5,000, 10,000, 50,000, and 100,000. Now, you never know what you look like till you get your picture took. So ask somebody if they buy 100,000 of them. What a young man just told me. He met Mark Hughes, the head of Herbalife Company. He said, oh, he's probably done got it. I said, if he done had it, he'd had 100,000. Don't ever assume that nobody, that the big boys has already got it and know it. If they did, they'd be here. That's why you always go to the cast team workshops and you can tell who's got it and who ain't. Because the ones that's got it and the ones that sold it to somebody will be bragging about it, so you'll know that somebody's got it. But yeah, if you sold 100,000 of them, made $1 a piece, that'd be $100,000, wouldn't it? Well, I mean, if you asked anybody to buy 100,000, how much would they make if they bought 100,000 of them? According to what they sold it for, wouldn't it? They could sell it to some of their franchise holders for $12 a piece, couldn't they? So if you sold it to them for 10, then they made their stuff. You sold it to them for... So if they just made $2 a piece, they make $200,000. But you got out 100,000 of them scutters. Now, this is how you'll get out the 2 per hour minimum. Your ships will not come in till you have got them out. So how many ships did you send out today? Okay, now you're just getting paid for your ships being out. What's this? Ask somebody to buy 1,000. Come down. You drop from 100,000 down to 10. 10,000. 50,000. I'd drop right down in these licks. If they're a business person out there, give them an opportunity to make some money. You don't tell them about all the other stuff. If they like theirs, you know what they'll do? Anything you like, you can sell, and you want others to have it. So I'm talking about this is some customer that's got her Cash Now program. Now, sure, you're trying to sell him all the other things, but I'm saying in an hour, if you just sold 50 of them, this is how to ensure that you caused the sale of 2 per hour of the James E. Tollison Future Millionaire Home Study Training Course on Empire Building, and never have to have a per se lead. You can take and do this with anybody's funeral list. Okay, here's the numbers. You've got to get out 300 in a day. So if you've done that for 6 hours, now we're counting 6 hours, but you work more than that. But the Dirty Dozen was on the drawing board for 6 hours. But of course, there's people calling them, there's calling from their homes and everything. Okay, now, you take 300, which would be, if you done 50 then, you got to get out 300 in a day to ensure that you get 2 minimum per hour back. So you could sell one person 500 one day, and you nearly took care of both days. But if you dropped it down and you sold 3 people 100 apiece, then you got it. And they're talking to 20 an hour. So if you can't sell them the complete course, and then drop it down. And then look, folks, don't fool around with selling them $1 millionaireship program. Do it the same way. 10, 20, 50, 100. You never sell it wholesale unless you're selling it in group lots. You sell it in group lots, and you can sell it to them wholesale. Is that what you mean by that? Well, shoot, I'll sell you 10 millionaireship programs for 400 apiece. Right? 350. Take 1,000 Cash Now programs, $10 a piece, and I'll sell them to you for 300, 350. But you sell retail by the unit. But when you're an empire builder, you sell wholesale and get people selling retail for you. By the way, I forgot to, and Mr. Rodney didn't show it in there last night. Put your retail manager in, pay them $10,000 a month, guaranteed salary to work for you. And then let them build this structure. Couldn't you hire a person just like that you did the direct wholesaler and hire them as a retail manager? It's on How to Build a Giant Solid Sales Organization on your course. That should be one video film that you watch. In the next 28 days, this is what you listen to and watch. How to Build a Giant Solid Sales Organization, the Empire Building through recruiting recruiters. That's all on the same film. And this Empire Builders Volume 4 tapes. There's 48 hours of that. Even though you're in the seminars doing it on your sleep, teaching at night, and plus all you divisionals, we want at least 7, but shoot for 49 stories. I got the Ron Van Beek story. You divisionals, do your story. Gary Peters done his. And make it as a tool. Go on and run copies, send the master into Phoenix, and anybody you can cross-use them. We're going to do it for at least 30 days and see how the cost factor works. Maybe 60 days. We'll do it up to convention time for $2. We're giving up until convention time to reactivate, and for these people that's bought the course to tell the company that they want to be authorized as a direct grandfather wholesaler, as a grandfather wholesaler. So they've got until the convention in Phoenix, which would be about 60 days. The 4th week in the month to be Phoenix. 4th week in the month to be Calgary, Canada. 4th week in the month to be Hawaii for a cast team. Whether it's the 4th week or not, it is the 4th week. If it rolls over into the 5th, we'll figure that all out. Mr. Britt, you have up your hand, sir? Yes, sir. Yep. Yep. Listen to this. It's all on how to build a giant solid sales organization. Now, I asked you two things, and that is to go through and devour, build these teams, be in this boot camp. Set you 21 days, and it'll absolutely become a habit to you. But you're causing, now, so what is the effect that you would do to cause 2 people per hour minimum to go for millionaires for ship for sure and buy your complete course? Is you've got to get out 300 cash now tapes per day, and it cinches it. Whether that's through you or through arms, through managers, through workers, through whatever. That would be 3 packages of 100 apiece or 6 packages of 50 apiece. So it'd be 6 transactions of 50 apiece and you'd have 300. Figure the percentages. 20% then would buy the complete or the millionaireship program, that's 60, and 20% then of them. But let me tell you how we taught everybody to sell it. I'm not saying stop selling the millionaireship program, but let me tell you what Jake Stone would do. He would get them on first base. Then he would carry them right around the third, which would carry them on home, and he'd go straight from first base then to the complete course. And if you'd done that, your percentages, you wouldn't even have to get out but 10 an hour. And you got your 2. And you ought to be that good. You'll be that good in 21 days. You go through these boot camps. All right? 21 days. But what's this? 10 a day at 20% then bought the complete course, and that's 2 per hour. Got it? Now, how would you do that? You used the millionaireship program as an enticer for them to buy the complete course. Your language and your vocabulary should be the same on all 3 products. Don't you understand? You are selling the one product, but it just so happens, and that is millionaireship, but it just so happens that so if a person hadn't, and you cannot absolutely sell him then the 450 or the 4,500 you could drop down and let him put down $450 as a down payment on it. Got it? But you used the terminology. It's just a down payment. Now you go on and get it. Now you got all of this. I would call it a bonus. I'd call the millionaireship program a bonus. And I'd sell a guy straight from the cash now, straight to the complete course, but I would make him listen to them in the sequence. See? But he's done got it. Now, if he just flat didn't have that much money, I'd just take $450. And I'd put down on there his millionaireship program, but I'd call it a down payment on his complete course. And send them the millionaireship program. Now, a couple of you is a little confused. Your divisionals will straighten this out. And Mr. Turner is going to work with y'all divisionals tonight and then tomorrow he needs you. Then you catch them planes out tomorrow afternoon. But what's that? That's how simple. That was the $1 billion idea that I come up with this morning on the 10, that I'd get 10. I'd sell at least 1 customer every hour, 10, and then I'd close 20% of them and buy the complete course, and that's my 2 minimum per hour. Just that simple. And I'd get everyone that I sold a 10 to send me a customer list of the ones where they sold it to them, wholesale, gave it to them, give it away as gifts and all that kind of stuff. And any kind of person that told me they was making over $50,000 a year, I would not let them off unless they bought them 100 cash nows, because I'd show them to solve all their problems. And if they had their problems solved that they got now, and they protected what they got, they'd make 100,000 with no more effort. So if you got any, I just saw a doctor in the room, if you got any doctors, any business people, anybody out there that's making $50,000 a year and they got They ought to all have 100 Cash Now cassette programs, and you ought to sell them to them for $10. You just walked and made $400, but then you got you 100 of those babies out. And he made himself then $1,000 cash back. Dude, wonderful. And I wouldn't talk no more on nothing else. Then I'd turn around and sell that same person 10 millionaireship programs. I mean, 100. You asked anybody to buy 1,000 millionaireship programs? Ain't it the same difference as it is on the Cash Now? They bought 1,000. You could probably drop the price down a little, couldn't you? What would a company go up in worth if they had 1,000 customers or employees and they all got them on the Cash Now and 1,000 employees on the millionaireship program? What would the company go up in value? Go up at least $1 million. Is it costing the owner anything? No. But I'd show him if he had to, pay half of it, what it took to get the employees on it. Okay. And Miss Allen covered that on Can Anyone Do It? You did get that, didn't you? Nod your head. Are you convinced that anybody in Hootersville, anywhere, can do this? Even as a Cash Now consultant, make more money than the highest paid executive around. Did you figure it that far? Just as a Cash Now consultant. So did you get it that you can put anybody on earth to work now? Did you get it what Miss Allen was talking about there? That on the seeing things, okay, when you see from the top down, it ain't no big thing. Listen to this. She said that when she was playing to win and all, that she knew she was going to win, but I wrote down something so far ahead. You're so good. Do you see it so big that you're so far ahead you don't even think whether or not you're going to win? But you just wonder. I mean, you don't even wonder, but every once in a while it comes across my mind, which I know is cause and effect, just how big I'm going to win. See, I got no doubt we're going to have a history-making month that's going to be legendary in this little old flea bag company. I just don't know how big legendary it's going to be. I know all of my people's going to be legends in their own time. I just don't know how big a legend. I never doubt that they're going to win. I ain't never doubted I was going to win. Since it's been so many years, just don't know how big. Right? And that's really irrelevant, ain't it? Just as long as you are ahead, you're ahead. Right? As long as you put this down on there, as long as I'm going forward, that's all that matters. See, it don't matter one lick if you just further ahead 30 days than you are today. Tomorrow than you are today. Ain't you further ahead today than you was yesterday? You can hear it on this Dirty Dozen growth every day in each and every way, getting bigger, better, more powerful, more together, learning more, seeing bigger, feeling bigger, knowing bigger. Oh, everything bigger, better, and greater. That's when you send from the top down. She made a beautiful illustration with that. Oh, she plays to win, so. And I was just thinking that's the only way I can win. I've also told you it's on the tapes by faking others out. On foot races and all that, I'd always tell everybody. And I hear it happen to y'all this morning. That Shelby Brett faked y'all out so bad. He had a bunch of y'all thinking he wanted y'all. He gave you a good sales illustration, didn't he? Now, if he's brutal, listen to this. I put this down. My own son, Tracy, Mr. Charles Goodman, done flew over there. And shoot, Shelby got him so built up, man. He had everybody making up a load right now coming in there to work in his division, didn't he? Wow! Hey, if somebody can do that to your people, couldn't they do that to your wife? Couldn't they do that to your husband? You just found out you didn't have a handle on your people, didn't you? Oh, Shelby, he's such a character. I just love him to death. I'm telling you what, he's such a ham. We need him some hams. Yeah. Don't you understand? That's why Pat can sing so. She's a ham when she sings. She throws up them arms. I just love it. Don't you understand? Watch the films and see how many times I faked you out. I'll be going this way and go that way just to see if I lost you. If I lost you, I faked you out. Well, I could have told you the how-tos 1, 2, 3, 4 so many times, but you wouldn't have got them. Then you'd have stopped on one, run out there and done that, and then come back and say, that don't work. And you didn't ever hear 3 and 4. But I carried you all over the world, back and under and over and zap, and then it was laying right in front of you all the time, didn't it? And then it made you feel so stupid because you hadn't seen it before that you got upset and then you went and done something. Right? I've got old Elizabeth so faked out, she don't know whether she's good, bad, or indifferent. Now, she may be a listen. When Colleen gets done with her, got it? Okay, but Shelby, he pulled it on you, didn't he? I'm telling you what. And watch this, but just remember that about your wives. I mean, hey, your husbands. I mean, shoot. And then always remember this, a great leader, he don't need nobody. I'd have figured Shelby Britt took everybody in the division that was there and told them to go to some other division. He just absolutely didn't want the other boys not to have a change. I was Nick Herrick. I'd take everybody in California and send them somewhere else, and say, hey, I mean, shoot, y'all might hold me back because you done heard my stuff. Don't y'all know how come I was so effective with that dirty dozen? Don't you know how come Brian Riddle says them the best tapes I ever heard? Do you realize that the first time in 3 years Brian Riddle hadn't heard me in person? Oh, I faked you all out again. You've been trying to figure out how I done it again, didn't it? Well, yeah, I got told strangers that didn't know me in mankind. They was receptive. They heard I was a god. They heard that I'd absolutely. Mark Buffett thinks I can walk on water. He's been watching me, following me around. That's why you're having trouble with your friends. They know you too well. That's what I told the guy about shaving back here, and he ain't done it. He's going to be a millionaire. And about 14 of y'all, if he's in my division, I'd get him down the floor back there and pull it out by tweezers. Listen over here, yeah, got the little Georgia girl over there. She ain't been listening to the tapes. There's about 4 or 5 of y'all in this room that ain't even heard the blame tape before you got here. Don't you think Jake knows this? Now, we're getting down to the short rows and to the and so Jake will tell you in these sessions. He don't blame it on the girls, and don't blame it on the ones that hadn't heard the tapes, the ones that's supposed to be leading them. Mr. Britt, you wanna say something else to them, get them again? Yeah, okay. Well, listen to this. This little old bunch of scrubs down here, and this kid will run off and leave all of you. I mean, only one I think he's got ain't the only one. When we was calling off that divisionals and all, I mean, we had Scott Kramer up in Georgia, and there's a couple of Georgians here, but Scott's not been strong enough to even get them to shave. There's 4 of them here from Georgia, and 2 of them's got beards, and one's got hair running down the back of his back end. I mean, and never seen a suit. And so we have anybody from South Carolina. We got one, yeah. Oh, he's moved on up here. He's getting with it a little bit. His glasses fogged up a little. He said, hey, what'd you tell Mama on the phone? You called her? What'd you say to her? What's going on? And I told her I'd tell her, and I still don't. No, but why you tell her she's rich, man? You don't. You bird brain idiot men. Never tell a woman nothing but that she's beautiful and rich. Gee. Yeah, tell her she's rich. Yeah. So what else is in that little old division down here, Gary? It's division number 7. Mississippi, there ain't a soul there from Mississippi. Alabama, old broken down Joe over here, you know. God just bellered at him, he says. Oh, Joe Prickard's such a nice guy, it's about time he had some money. See, the guys should have some money, but they're going to have to have the business manager to do it, and Brady's going to get up here and tell you about that in a couple of minutes. Blame it? Yeah, there's Joe. He's bowing up a little now. Yeah, over there corrupting Mr. Howard's son, being nice to old Danny. Slap him off the chair there. He's done wrecked a new car. He never seen nothing like it. His Uncle Jake will get a hold of him. His daddy helps him pick him out another car, and if he ain't run over something with that, I'm telling you what, he'd absolutely walk on his fingertips for about a month, and he won't wreck no car. Gee. Okay, where was we at? Yeah, and what else is in that little old division? Tennessee, oh, Art Harrison's up there, and he dickers around whether he's going to do it big or not. You know. Art really done real good before he started, you know, believing. Art Harrison thought this was crooked for a while, and he figured he'd make him 20,000 real quick, dump a few of these courses out across the country. He done very well. Then one of his boys heard it, and he just changed his whole life, and he got emotionally involved, and Art's become a priest. Yeah. Some of y'all like that? Y'all's laughing. Is that you? Yeah, Art. Oh, yeah, I saw him one time. Everybody in town was huddled around him. It's all over the United States. He had one of its own every state. He just popped it up. I mean, you know, buy this thing, pay for it, you become a millionaire. He told Lee Garrett, man, you're rich. Oh, Lee is so dumb, he believed it. Lee's wife, she's been over there cotton picking, counting the money. If you have to count it, you ain't got much. Don't ever count it. All you're counting is how many you put up to go in for millionaireship per day. We've got a chart we're going to pass out. We count them on a scale of a 10, a 9, a 8, and a 7, a 6, and a 5, and a 4, and a 3, and a 2, and a 1. You shouldn't have nothing no less than a 5. And that means when you're going to get the check for the complete course. Okay. But what else in that division, Mr. Gary? North Carolina, oh yeah, we got a 9-fingered guy up there in North Carolina. Nicest guy I've ever seen, Mr. Jim Fisher. If he could sail like he is nice, there ain't no telling what would happen, Gary. Just go up to him and say, why? Listen, would you put this down, young man? You've listened to everything. Now, none of y'all else, no need of listening to this. You're not ready for it. But since Gary's so advanced, he's ready for it. You walk up to anybody that's in your division and anybody that you see in these states and say, why ain't you a millionaire already? How does that line go? Why ain't you a millionaire already? 6 words. Yeah, and use your age as an advantage. Try to squat down where you'll really be shorter than them. And spit up, just like Kathleen did with you. Well, why ain't you one? Especially Mr. Jim Fisher from Carolinas. Been a philosopher for so long, absolutely. He can tell stories to the children that they just love. Snow and Rachel and Sasha just loves him to death. I mean, he's such a great guy. Who's got the commander over here? Colleen Sullivan. Look at him and say, you're a disgrace to handsome men. Tell him you wished he as dang good as he looks. Yeah. Yeah. And pull your Cadillac up and right in front of his apartment and run it through the front 2 doors. Commander ain't even got him a new Cadillac, no $1,000 bills. Because he's been a priest, too. I think I'd always saw him as being the one that flew them jets in. You know, Nick, look here, what's this? Lee Garrett thanks you that, Commander. But I think he was the one over there that was, what is it, one of them veterans that's, what is it when you don't fight in a war? Bill Hunter used one of them. What was that? Conscientious objector. I don't think Commander's on them planes. I think he read about that in Time magazine. I think he's a conscientious objector. Oh yeah, Colleen, you know him. Oh, he's that that you thought was Clark Gable. You know, your heart went one bump. I mean, she's a single lady. I mean, you know, she knows she's a billionaire and she'd like to have a Clark Gable guy that melted her. You know, but Commander ain't it, honey. Not yet, but he might, you know. I mean, if you spurred him enough. When Rodney said that he would turn that bad dude into one, he didn't mean he would do it by sympathizing and loving up his, you know, and saying, why, you know, he'd say absolutely that you are a fighter. If you girls would get these men being fighters, but you hadn't wanted them to be fighters because you've been conscientious objectors. You wanted him to be Kenny Rogers that just picked on the guitar. Don't you realize Willie Nelson, get him a ponytail? Don't you realize that gal that did keep Kenny Rogers and got him, you know what she done? He credits her for bringing him out of the gutter. And I bet you she didn't do it just for love. I bet she spurred him a few times. As a matter of fact, I guarantee you he didn't corral her till he had started wearing spurs and being a man's man. Oh, it takes a big human being to lead, but it takes a bigger one to follow and follow instructions. It takes a bigger human to follow than it does to lead. Okay, listen, you wives. Listen, I've got to get down from here, my Lord. Wives, I don't care if you hadn't before, but for the next 28 days, I'm asking something. It is Jake Stone and Jim Tollison saying it. If you don't do it for him, do it for them girls over there in Pat. I want to be with them girls a little. First time since we've even been married, I've got to get up this morning. I wanted to see them. I mean, I just hadn't even got to even think about it 2 minutes. Okay? But listen to this. You wives, get on them cotton-picking phones and say exactly the line. Now, you men won't do it, but you girls will. Why ain't you a millionaire already? That's all you say. You don't have to say nothing else. Don't complicate it. And if they say they are, say, well, how come you ain't a multi-one? Colleen got one other night. Yeah. Say, well, look. If you got so much money, how many others have you ever helped to become a millionaire? Shoot, yeah. Okay, when I was named over that list of the ones that's totally cooperative with me, and that is this little youngest daughter, Snow Lynn. Absolutely so cooperative that it's just unreal. And I appreciate it, Snow. Rachel and Sasha, yeah, old Snow is always just a cooperative. Yeah, Rachel thinks I boss her, and I do. And I wouldn't boss her if she'd be cooperative. Get it? I don't want a boss. Shelby Brett said something last night at the supper because he was already a courser and had already been through so much stuff, and And when we asked him to take on this special project, I don't care about all the talk, we asked Shelby to take on this because we needed to do it now. The best selling time in history is right now. Between now and Thanksgiving, the next 100 days is it, boy. We can go. When people's open, there's kids starting back school, it's time, it's ready. Wow, it's a good time. And we asked him to do this, and he was saying, well, he'd kind of like to do it this way and this way and this way. And I said, Shelby, great. Just do it like the course teaches to do it. Forget Jake Stone even. Forget Jim Dollison. But do it like the course says. But you ought to do it like Jim Dollison or like Jake Stone. For the next 28 days, kind of divorce Jim Dollison from your life. As you're listening to the tapes, figure out how to cause 2 people per hour to get the complete course. Minimum. And by what you pick up off of that. And absolutely be the greatest. I tell you what, Jake Stone is the best follower and absolutely that you ever run across. I mean, you're going to see it. You be here 20 years from today, and Pat and I will never have had a fuss. We just don't, because we cooperate. When Mother says that, you can't figure this out. With Rodney and I, never had a fuss. It's brothers. What are you fuss about? That brings you apart instead of making you together. Don't fuss with your customers. There's been many a time that Rodney has agreed with me to something that wasn't right, and I've agreed with him. But okay, you get to getting it right. Let's go. Let's do. We ain't got time to horse around. Okay, now we've laid it out, these divisionals. He's going to be working with a great Doug Turner, and they could pay him millions. And still be way ahead. But he could pay them millions too, and he could be way ahead. Yep, I got the picture with the first divisional ever. Okay, the young doers and the kids, we didn't have none. We'll do the same thing then in Calgary, Canada. We need us some kids. You bring them to the Doers Club rallies. We're not going out to 49. We're just going out. Mr. Turner will tell you, 7 at the 7 boot camps, and 2 more boot camps will be 9, and then the 3, the mail order places, company mail orders. And then that'll be an independent event. Mr. Turner will turn that. But you can have the kids there, interview them up front, and get some testimonials. We need that. On how did they use the training on building their empire and others' empire. The training as tools and equipment. Not, oh, I got positive and things just happened. I made $10,000. That's little league stuff. That's what they're supposed to do. Okay? Y'all had never got that far yet. You're supposed to have been a millionaire before we come along. If there's 244 created every cotton picking day, and they ain't got the course, what the Sam Hill should be happening. You ain't bought that. You ain't bought yet that there's 244 run right by you. Zop! And one cotton picking billionaire every cotton picking hour. Hourly. Pow! There went another billionaire. Riding a camel. You're further ahead of him, ain't you? Well, you ain't got the money, though. Here, I got one more little set of notes here that I wanted to tell. We're going to do a lot of things in these cast team meetings. Every one of them will be worth millions to you. There's a gentleman in this room by the name of Mr. Jack Smith that was doing some of this kind of work. His wife is still mad at him. Hello, darling, they're buying it. Turn your attitude around. Before Brian Dean Riddle was born. You take off 30 years and figure out how far back that is. Not far. 1953. Right? 55. 55. I remember when Daddy bought a 55 Oldsmobile, brand new, 55. Okay? There's a company called Holiday Magic that they use some of the destruction process. Jack got to talking there, and I have never even told this. This is how Little League I always thought it was. But I'm going to tell what you call modern day marketing today, when you have the multi-structures and you have the different positions and you have people on profit sharing. I'm going to tell, see, it was used in the old companies like with the Ford garage and dealers and sub-dealers and all these kind of things. But way back, that the man that was the head of Holiday Magic at his cosmetic company, and they used fruits as the formula and the base of their cosmetics. Now, but what's this? And the president of that was a man by the name of Penn Patrick, William Penn Patrick. His last name was Patrick. And it was so far advanced and done so much work and all this, and it went across the country, and then it grew so fast and all, and they didn't have the training. They tried to put a training course together back then. They didn't have it balanced, and they didn't have the tapes, and they didn't have the videos and all these kind of things to teach their distributors and agents how to do things. So the rumor is that the man got in an airplane, he was a pilot, and flew out over the ocean and just run out of gas. But nobody never knows what happened to him. But the companies all blew up, but there's thousands of companies today that's generations of them that people don't even know. So I'm going to do the story in the cast team meetings, how that the multi-marketing was formed and how did it done. And you don't need to live on an illusion thinking you come up with it, and you'll see people out there in what they call multi-level marketing, and they think they come up with it. I mean, it ain't nothing new, folks. I have never professed that I come up with all this teaching, but listening here is something that did happen to me, and I didn't even know. The Napoleon Hill Award thing, what was it called, Jack? It was some kind of big fancy word. Yeah, humanitarian award plaque thing. And he was telling me about this William Penn Patrick was the fourth one that ever got it. And I forgot I was the fifth one. I got the Napoleon Hill and the humanitarian thing, but it meant so little to me. And it was just one of them things like getting the Nobel Peace Prize. I don't mean that you cause peace everywhere. See, I'm not one on awards too much and getting them and all that junk. But you are, by the way, all that's on the cast team, Mr. Riddle. We need to get that young man to make more of these gold horses, because this thing, I'm getting to liking it more. Make him put 2 cotton-picking points on it and make him do them right or kill him, half kill him. But these horses is beautiful. I kind of like that. It spins on you. My cotton-picking horse are steady. But I miss out had done this, and she put it on my collar and put chewing gum underneath, and it's gold, man. You're going to get one of them things. But anyhow, but what's this? The only ones that ever got that Napoleon Hill Humanitarian Award thing was Thomas Edison, Andrew Carnegie, W. Clem Stone, and William Penn Patrick, and James Tollison. I got one of them. It didn't mean nothing. Didn't mean nothing. I got the thing, it was one of them things, but it didn't mean nothing because the guy that gave it to me wasn't. It's one of them pretense things. Man, you always pay attention to who gives you what. And you pay attention to who brags on you. And that's one of the commander's troubles. See, that's one of the troubles in the world today. You can do so good doing so bad, and everybody brag on you for doing something that wasn't nothing. Don't you understand? This didn't mean nothing to me. I mean, it was a paid-off thing. I paid the guy $300,000 royalty. So I never did. I put it over there. I mean, it's for what? But anyhow, but his wife, Jack's wife's still mad. And that's a pretty smart woman. You tell her I said that. I'm serious, Jack. You got to handle it right. Because she went with him to the convention where this guy got it, and she's been mad ever since because she didn't. None of that impressed her. Well, then none of it impressed me. I was at Napoleon Hill's 100th birthday award, and absolutely had to just pull Miss Allen out by the seat of her breeches to keep her from whooping a bunch of them. There's 500 people in this Napoleon Hill thing. It's supposed to be the greatest positive thinkers Napoleon Hill's birthday award and all of this. And he was passed away, but put on by Mr. W. Clem Stone. But there's they run around. Mr. Ogmandino was there. And they're running around grabbing him, wanting to get his autograph and take a picture with Augie. And I mean, it's so sickening. They just grab him and turn him around. Mr. W. Clem Stone, him a billionaire, is up here now. He's got a green flyer. Got a lot of my training from him. Green flyer pen, autograph and stuff. And people walk up to him and ask him such a goofus question he is, well, what kind of business should I go into? And here's a billionaire. But he didn't, it's all his fault. He didn't have no trained replacements. I come back and got on a high horse, and that's the next week's when we set up. When I done Are You a Believer talk, and we set up the second history-making team. And I said, let me tell you, we'll create a club that's a club that's a club that's a club. When it recognizes somebody, You can believe you can carry that to the bank because it's solid stuff, and there's a bunch of good people like Jack's wife out there that Jack looks tired because he ain't had mama helping him, and she was right. And some of you cotton-picking jack-leg men better quit start talking and being barking dogs and better start doing it. And if they don't, girls, leave them. Just get them out of the way. I mean, I ain't for divorce. I'm against that. But blame it, you were never married if you ain't in tune. So just have it annulled instead of a divorce. I don't care if you had it 20 years. Make your rules. I mean, don't fall into the slots of everybody else. Okay, then I got another young man. I had to do a couple of things here, so that covers that on that. But I'm going to do that kind of story in there. $1,000 bills, I'll autograph them there. I've made so many promises. It'll take me all my life, and I'll never get caught up. You've got to do the same thing. Make some promises out there. Sell an opportunity instead of, when you're selling, listen to this. A young man in California told me he's going to have an opportunity meeting there and tell him about it. You put out 100 Cash Now cassette programs every day, and what have you just done? Put on 100 design personal opportunity meetings that a person can push play and do them again. They can do it in their chair, relax, laid back. Okay. You're putting on 100 demonstrations in an hour. See? That's what you're doing. But anyhow, so it just clicked with him. He said, I said, don't have no meetings. But in Canada, all I want to do is, let me do that. Give me this. Let me be in Canada and just autograph $1,000 bills all cotton-picking day. I'll get to the cast team. We're going to be going right now and choosing some more. We're going to be choosing some out of every group. There's some of you people on the cast team, you got your couple picked out. That's the only way you can get is if somebody here says that you're ready to be on the cast team. And so we'll be announcing it next month. So it's always a month ahead. Well, we'll actually be announcing it before that and then telling about it there. And we've got to catch up in Canada. Maybe we'll just do it in Canada since we're going to see about this boot camp. There's some of you ready right now to be on the cast team, but let's see if you can cut it for 28 more days. Let's see if you can start over again. Some of you may get your attitude checked good because you're supposed to have done been there, you thought. It don't matter if you're a little bit ahead. Now, sometimes it looks like you're behind. Count your money. That's the only way you know. Position don't mean nothing. Money is all that matters. Okay. Okay, now here, I've got it. Here's a young man, big old gorilla, good looking, he's always around. Name is Chris Kirby, like the Kirby vacuum cleaner. I asked him if he ever heard the Kirby story, and he said no, they tried to get me to win a horse. They're so dumb. He didn't say they're dumb, I said that. What did this go on? Yeah, here's our ticket to get into next week's Doers Club rally. Except it's going to be black with gold on it, and I'm telling you what, the great family of your name, and it tells the Doers Club $500 bonus. That'll be going into a Cash Now package, plus also a sample off the big test is going to be in there. Boy, we're getting this thing fine-tuned. But anyhow, Chris Kirby, he was just so serious, and he gave me a doohickey. He was talking about the Challenger. Yeah, it's one of them pins, and it meant so much to him. It was just so emotional that he couldn't tell me. And I said, oh, tell me, Chris. Yeah, I got it here. I got it. It'll go in the Hall of Fame. He gave it to me, but it's about the Challenger. Here's a young man that wanted to go on the space shot and been working and everything. He's 27 years old, and he's got this pin, and his daddy worked on the first moon shot that went to the moon. He worked here at the Cape. Chris? Where's Chris? Yeah. Stand up and let him look at you. Yeah, military man here, and he's... So that back in '64, he worked on it and all, and helped them make that. And so Chris wanted to be start with an astronaut. Then they knocked you down. He used to be 6'8", and they knocked him down a little on there and said, "It don't but just a few make that." You know how many guys that's got big in government has helped back? You know how many human beings, authoritative figures that didn't know nothing has helped back? Some of you Californians find out who this boy Tim Perion is, because that's one of the things he talks about in that book, Nick. But authoritative figures has messed you up. In other words, now, Chris, boy, just told, I mean, he's wanted to go with us, but he done made a commitment to the military, and that he wanted to go to the moon. He pulled back, or go up in space. He's done pulled back now, and was going to work on the crews that helped them get up there. Now they're saying, oh, kind of like Judy in here at the bank. They give her a title as personal. What did they call you, Eddie? Personal banker. They wouldn't even give her official title and keep dangling her there. She's been in banking 12 years, and that's just the way the biggie structure works. And Chris is just tangled up on this, and he's wanting to work with us, and he's wanting to go, and he's wanting to do. I said, and so he's giving me this because he said this was holding him back, because this was his hook to being in the outer space with the shuttle programs and all that. This is just an overview of it. But I just hit him with so simple. Y'all don't know that you'll live long enough to see Brian Riddle go into outer space? Oh, that's one of his dreams. When he heard the trip to the moon talking, me talking about been to the moon and come back, Brian ready to go right then. We went over to the Cape this week, and he saw it. Oh, yeah. It won't be 20 years till commercial business and man will be going in outer space. Now, I ain't going to go. I want to tell you ahead of time. Now, I'm subject to change my mind, and if this place is messed up so bad, I'll go. But let me tell you what, it'll be for a necessity that I go. Okay? Not because of this going. I really just don't care nothing about being out there where I ain't got control of my footing that high up. And I just don't care nothing about being out there where there ain't no trees. Now, if there's a place where they can show me where there's some trees and some fresh water and some cotton picking animals, it's not wild beast, then I might go. But I ain't really seen none of that yet, and I ain't no proof of it. I'm suspicious. Yeah, I want proof. Y'all see, now y'all took it on the course. I had to do and say some of these things to get your mind open, but you still been hearing what you want to hear on there. You hear it as Jake Stone, you'll find out Jake Stone is a suspicious human and loves suspicious human, because you ain't going to sell him no wooden nickels. He likes tough customers. But anyhow, so that's Chris's prerogative, and it's Mr. Riddle's. He wants to go out there in outer space, no, and he really does. Brian's adventurous. He's a conqueror. He's Conan. And you can be that. By the time he gets about 35, he's liable to not be Conan as much. I mean, you know, I'm cooling down a little, you know. I mean, I probably used to, if I check out my old records, I probably used to wanting to go to the moon too. As you forget, don't you? You go through some of that whim stuff. I wanted to drive an 18-wheeler so bad it's unreal across country, and I rode around one block a month or two ago, and I satisfied that. I mean, things change, and when you got the money, you're in the driver's seat to decide what you want to do. So I told Chris, I said, and that'll be something that'll cost less. Don't you understand? Plane tickets today, as high as they are still less in comparison to what the cotton picking first old train tickets was in the old days, because of time and all that. So, Chris, in 20 years, let's play like, if you was lucky with a space program and you stayed with that commitment, you was really lucky, worked and killed yourself, used everything on the course to get you motivated up through them places, how long would it take before you would go out there? 40? Gee, in 20 years, now write these numbers down quick. In 20 years, you can be a billionaire. If it took you 20 years to become a billionaire, you'd still be making $25,000 a year. Hour. In other words, it took you 20 years. And Chris just said it take you sure does? Let me tell you what. I wouldn't wait 40 years Miss Allen. And I wouldn't expect her to wait 40 years for me. By God, it's about the only thing I'd wait for. Okay, but you was just planning on 20. Well, Chris, sir, I guarantee you take and do what we're saying, you can be worth $1 billion, and let me tell you, you'll have a bunch of friends worth $1 billion. We have our own ship. I mean, it's just a plain thing. Yeah, Mr. Riddle planning on having one for then. Yeah. It won't cost this awful much. And let me tell you, you just buy a seat on one of them that's got one of them losers. Don't you realize every time you sit down on an airplane, you're better off flying in their seat as much as it's costing you than if you was even owning it, because they're losing every time they carry you? Oh, yeah, you can hire it and pay for it. So I just got down here, I was going to tell Chris, because some of y'all got some of them hang-ups. You got other commitments. And I said just immediately, buy that commitment off. And he thought immediately, he lost his course, and he become a 99%er, and he thought I meant something underhanded. No. If I make you a commitment, the way to buy that off is give you a better one. In other words, so if I owe you $100 and I said I'd pay it tomorrow, so pay you $150 and pay you Friday. Got it? Okay. Now, but I said, make them not want you. Do you realize you're going to have to sell other people? You cotton picking girls better love them men, and men better love them women. You better let them know it, because it's more powerful you get. And you better love James Dawson, better make the commitment to this company, because they're going to all be after you. They're going to they'll offer you everything in the moon to get you to be off with this cast team and not to be committed here. See, anytime that anybody's committed, people find out then that's a committer, and boy, they want them. People only want committed people. See, but you've been trying to want them that wasn't committed. You've been wanting them soft customers. It's a tough one. Okay, but I told Chris, make them not want you, and you do it honorably. You've got to say no just as much as you say yes. You've got to make people not want you. Some of you men that's getting stronger, and some of you divisionals here, there'll be some little blonde that's absolutely, that had her hair peroxide and cotton picking, she just dangles all over, and she'll come up to you and say, sir, will you tell me what seat is the airplane here? And she'll just wiggle right in there, and she's got that planned out so, man, she done saw some strength there and come right after you. I mean, you better face life like it is. You better be a Jake Stone machine that you can just, no emotions over here. You couldn't handle it. Your ego's so weak and your pride's so low, they just blow your head plumb out of socket. In the old days, when we may do it on this cast team, I was going to check our men out. I was going to hire me 12 Las Vegas gals, who's the greatest in the world, and turn them loose on my top men to see if they could waver them. I mean, we're going after it. Oh, John, you got to watch the Canadian over here. It's amazing how people say, oh, if I could just find me, yes, oh, a gentleman from Canada, yeah, I've been watching him. He's a good man. He's kindly might be available. Well, we got some good women, Canada. Oh, boy, I'm telling you what, check her note so good and put her through the fire. Check her money, you know. Test her good. But you girls do the same thing, see? And then you girls, oh, yeah, there'll be Colleen, there'll be some of them men out there in Phoenix. Oh, they heard just enough on the course to know how to charm a woman. You go in there and absolutely, you'd be like Walker, that school teacher, was. You eat them. Yeah, I'm serious. Oh, yeah. Miss Allen finally found that out. She's just going around booging and grinning all the time. I said, that's going to get you into trouble. And then ask men questions. What was it you asked the other day that was so dumb? One of them just told you. that's so embarrassing. No, Jake told her about it. Don't you understand that the real world out there don't think like us? See, you see in others what you are yourself, so your heart gets so right, and you just think everybody else is. And she asked one of these old country boys something about animals, and he told her. And then, you know, oh, yeah, on planes and everything and all. She just grinning and smiling through the airports, and she just, oh, this, that, and that. About 2 or 3 of them said words to her and kind of put her on the spot a little bit, and she, you know, keep your eyes focused, just like you're on a cotton-picking blinders on. You better. But they'll be flat after you. You absolutely better be so disciplined that you... Ninja warriors. Oh, y'all just did warm me up yesterday. And I think absolutely when you're doing this boot camp, leaders, let it be that. Go get you the Return of the Ninja. That was the one where they fought, and I'm telling you what they fought. So, Ninja warriors, wow. And then study and tell the stories about it, leaders, about how it takes a ninja warrior, and absolutely you can't kill them. They're warriors. Okay, I've took too much time. The king's got to get up here, but we're all right. We are, because this is the most peace that Jake Stone has had ever. Because he knows what we're going to do. And listen to this, the biggest mistake you could make in the next 30 days is he is trying to do everything that we've covered this weekend. As you're hearing those tapes, that's the worst thing you can do. There's 1,000 ways that we told you how to sell this course. But you don't have to do nothing but what Gary Peters had just told a while ago. Ask them why they ain't already become a millionaire. Don't have to complicate it. But listen to this, all that structure and process, we'll have it on paper. What you need to do personal right now is decide to go on a 21-day mission. And that'll be out of your town in most cases. And be in a boot camp. Don't bring a bunch of your fancy clothes. You won't be working with ties. You ain't going to sell on that phone with a tight necktie. It's all on these tapes. This Dirty Dozen didn't look so pretty. They did. I mean, they wasn't dressed up and all, but they've been leaning over forward. But these divisionals, Mr. Turner's fixing to come up here, but Mr. Riddle, but let me tell you what James Tolleson be satisfied and Jake Stone be satisfied with. You in this group, between now and Calgary, Canada, you only get you 7 there, whether it's somebody that's already bought our complete course or somebody that you sell it to, and you either hire them or you get them wanting to be on the cast team, and the cast team is people that's in the field management, and it's direct wholesalers, and it's trying to help us get this training course never home in the world, free English-speaking world. And you get you 7. You're not going to hit the 2 per hour minimum. And no, there probably won't be a one of you that'll hit it in the next week. There'll be just a few of you hit it in the next 2 weeks, and then there are a few of you hit it the 3rd week. Some of this Dirty Dozen, Mark, Gary Peters liable to hit it. I said you didn't even have to hit it but for 21 days in a row, and you'd be a billionaire if you done it personally and you caused that many. Actually, you got the check in hand. You don't have to do that much. But aim for that much, and then all the overflow is so great. But, in other words, if you double what you done last month, triple, quadruple, you're ahead of that, ain't you? So now let's group ourselves back together. We got 7 human beings here. Then we got 5. We got Ron, Colleen, Mark, Nick, and well, let's just say, yeah, Jackson 5. That's for sure already. That's got teams in company mail order. And they got at least 12 there apiece. We need some more in there. And listen to this. Let's don't go out there. Let's leave this meeting today and don't be fools. In other words, don't go out there and try to collect your $1 million next week. So what? You're now ready to start. And you're ready to start starting towards causing the sale of 2 per hour minimum. You had never started that before this weekend. You've been aiming, if you get 2 in a day, or if you get 1, you could get 2 a week. through a week, man, $3,600 a week. I ain't never made that in my life. So don't go and beat yourself. And what we're going to do, and let me give you my version the way I see it again. It's in, let's say, one that I know for sure, okay, right here in Florida, or in this area. They're going into Atlanta, Georgia. Gary, that's where your group will be. There'll be a group in Scott's, close to Scott's place. He's got a mail order center there, and let's go to Ed Peterson. I know that. In that division, anybody that's in that division, up to 42 people, they're only going to take 42 in there, can go into Ed Peterson's division, and he's going to be the super team leader of that into his city in Iowa. Now, you'd be going into whatever word it Ed's at. Well, Mr. Turner, Mr. Riddle knows all this. Jake's had it. He's, you know, they all know this 10 times better than me, and they'll explain it all. And we're supposed to broke at 5 o'clock. New divisionals is going to know this already. Then get out there. And it's all Jake's fault. But let me tell you what, he's got him some replacements, and he's going to bet on you. Cotton Picking Tiger's got $10 billion betting on you. And the king has got to get up here and speak, and he's going to bring up Mr. Turner, and he's going to close this baby out, and then he'll get with you divisionals. And all of you people in here, the way you'll be in Canada is have you 7 other people. Now, they have to have the course, and they've got to went through a local rally before they can be there. And they've got to want to be, now they can even be using the product wholesale. We'll have people that'll be at our cast team meetings. Now, this on this 10,000 is open in Canada. It's open to people that's not in boot camp. You people in this boot camp's going to average 21,000. You're going to average $1,000 a day, and if you don't come in there thinking that, don't come. Got it? In other words, 21-day experiment, $1,000 a day is going to be paid daily. As the money's turned in, it's going to be paid back out, cash. Mr. Riddle and Mr. Turner will explain that. There's some of you. Now, the ones that have already shook your hands, let's don't do that. But the ones that I hadn't got to shake hands, if we've ever shook hands before, let's don't worry about it. But some of us that has never shook hands, Miss Allen and I'll be out at the back of the room after this is over. And but it's just been the most rewarding, profitable time that we've ever had. And when you can make Jake Stone have peace, boy, you're champs. And I got total peace with these 7. There could have been 7 more. We had that many. And you guys just all so proud of you, and you ladies. And it's just such a wonderful thing to have more people. Now, what we got to do, though, is duplicate those. And that's how we're going to do it. So the mission is in the next 28 days, we'll just have 7 plus the company ones that we're going to have it going on. They'll explain that. They're over there now trying to figure out how on earth to unconfuse you on what I'm saying. They're geniuses. It takes a genius to work around Jake Stone because he can throw it up in so many different directions, so many different ways. Ain't you a genius? Well, why don't you take and get the money to go with all them smarts? Man, can you imagine a guy as smart as you, if he had money, what on earth you could do? Chris, you get that clear? I mean, it's huge, absolutely. Now, they make them not want you, and they'll honorably, absolutely. Look, you got to sell somebody off of you. That's what I was saying. I didn't finish that. Some woman get after me, I'd say, look, I'll tell you what, you wouldn't want me. I don't even want me. And you can sell, if you can't sell somebody off of you as good as you can on to you, you ain't no count. You better be selling 24 hours a day, ever breathing breath. Now, if this is for your protection, this is the way to protect yourself. You sell everybody millionaireship and you'll get the buzzards out of the way, don't you understand? I don't have these kind of troubles like most people do. No, it gets the buzzards out of the way. Now, if I had to say it to them verbally, but I just say on them tapes. I don't talk to nobody that ain't hearing these tapes. I don't, and I wouldn't. If I was you, I would not talk to nobody that hadn't heard them Cash Now cassette programs other than to get them to hear them. Just don't talk to them. Family, anybody. You say for safe from now in Canada that you can't. See, you're so programmed not to use the word can't that you won't say that. Just say, I can't. Reem Riddle says it on her talk, don't you? I can't talk today. Well, you can't. That's just like saying that you can't afford to. That's all right to say that away. You can't afford to. So you can't afford, listen to this, he'll haunt you for 1 billion years. He'll haunt you all your life. Brian Dean Riddle will if you don't make it. Because you'll always hear him laughing. You'll always see his picture, where he come from, and none of you come from nowhere, and you'll always see. And you're going to be hearing his name everywhere. He's just going to be up such a plane, and you'll just know no matter where you're at. And Brian Riddle, see, it drove Doug Turner crazy because Brian Riddle didn't get tired. Now, Doug's got to learn how to relax like the Brian Riddle does. Now, and he just trucks along through the tulips. And if he wants to go here for 18 hours, that's all right with me, and it ought to be all right with you, because it's his show. He's the king and the president of this thing. And let me tell you what, you put your confidence and faith like I've got in him. I've got my total everything's in him. Something must happen to me right today. Brian Riddle just carried all right on. And I mean, and just don't even, yeah, I bet some of y'all think that we get off and have private conversations. We say the same thing together as we'd say apart. Just like I said on that humor tape that we made in Gunnersville. If you can't say it in public, you better not be saying it in private. And just go on, carry on. Now, sure, there's a little old stuff or something like that, but I'm talking about over to all the general basic stuff, and that's the way it's always been. That's how come Brian Riddle's here, and if James Dawson ever favored, wherever faltered one lick, Brian Riddle wouldn't have been here, because on one side of him, he's been Brady all this time. Brian Riddle's suspicious, mankind. He's a businessman, a leader and a doer and achiever, and an empire builder, rise doer, and I am just so proud and honored that he's on our team and will be for life, and he ain't got no choice no matter, because I chose him for life too, and whether he's a friend of mine or not, I'm a friend of his for life, and I know he is a friend of mine, and we're hooked up, and it is his show, and I'm just get him up here, the great Brian Dean Riddle. Yeah. The president. Yeah. The president. Okay, yeah. Now he wants me to do something. Yes. He wants me to do something for her, Jake, please. What we're going to do? We're going to show it? Yeah. We're going to tell it? Well, maybe. Yeah, listen to this. It started off with the great Pat Allen, and I was coming up with an award up in Alabama, and we come up, and she come up with it, the Workhorse Award. That was Pat Allen all the way. She was even the one that come up with us putting it all in the course, all in one package. I mean, it's just amazing. But anyhow, and y'all saw the sign and all of Mr. Riddle, and some of y'all took pictures, and anytime you ever take any pictures out there in events, send us some. Somebody gave Miss Allen last night ones that y'all took in Alabama, and that's so precious, and all John Allen's keeping it. We're all making our own diary. All you girls, write a diary. Start it, keeping up with things. We'll put it all in the Hall of Fame. But the great Brian Dean Riddle got the first Workhorse Award. We was just going to present it to one, okay? One every month, and we will still, just in top management, only get one. But now we're going to start giving out one per division, so that'll be 7. So somebody in you guys' division next month can get the Workhorse Award, including Iowa and Canada and all. But we got the one today, and boy, there's some close runner-ups on this, but we said we'd just have one. So honorable due mention is Mr. Shelby Britt, and honorable due mention, and that ain't, what do you say? How do you call that? Honorable.
That's right.
Yeah. Yes, sir, that's right. Honorable mention, I think I done messed it up good, is Mr. Gary Peters on getting this month's Workhorse Award in August the 24th, 1985. And that young man definitely worked. Mr. Britt was working all over the country, and a bunch of y'all. There's a bunch of you that's absolutely right in there and just close. But this young man, if he hadn't done what he done, and hadn't have caused the things to happen, this meeting wouldn't have been successful this week because the groundwork was laid. And he's worked his back end to death. And Mr. Riddle now wants to tell who that the cast team said that, and it was the ones that was active that done the voting and knew about what was happening. And we believe that Mr. Doug Turner should have it totally. Yeah. Workhorse Award. Horser Workhorse Award. Yeah, the great Doug Turner. Wow.
He said A today.
Huh?
He said A today.
He said A? He's getting excited. I think that's the first plaque we ever even got to get Doug for anything, and he's got every award we got, including the balance for him and Lori. Where's that darling at? Lori, get up here, honey. We got to get a picture with you. Yeah, she's right with him. Yeah. He's blowing. Great Doug Turner. Y'all caused it because y'all brought it out of him. And you was there when a bunch of you was there when he was doing that teaching. Later on, we're going to take those tapes and put it into a little program there on how to turn your $1 million idea into cash. Oh, boy, he said some stuff. I got through some of them. It says, beautiful horse on here. Great Kathleen Steele, as always, can do 1,000,000 things at once. And she got this made. I saw it last night and just nearly cried. Absolutely. James E. Tollison's Horser Workhorse Award, presented to Doug Turner, August 24th, 1985, Orlando, Florida. Got a beautiful horse on it. Yeah.
This, in a sense, means an incredible amount to me because I saw last month what Mr. Riddle went through to get the first award, and I just like Mr. Tolson said, I've got to learn to relax, tiptoe through the tulips like Brian Riddle does. I mean it actually. It insulted me that somebody like that could work more or harder than I could. It really did. I didn't think there was any way. I'd go out there and I could last right through. Man, I didn't come close most nights. I mean, I'd go home and then he'd work all that night and meet me back in the office in the morning. It was just.
But you hear the tapes, and Doug Turner done it in another way.
Yeah.
See, every human can have the principles, and you do things different. I mean, let me tell you, and as far as Brian relaxing.
What he done this past month to get this, I'd have fell dead.
Yeah, if Brian had been doing this, because I was on a trip with him one time, and Jake Stone run Brian to death.
Oh, almost killed him.
Yeah. With a hotel room in Oklahoma City. And I was going to start telling this on that humor tape, and I didn't. We had two big beds. You'll tell it?
Yeah, let me tell it.
Yeah. But here, wait a minute, let me get down, and then they close this out. Listen to this. It's such honor and such a thrill. And this gentleman back here, that gray-haired, when I pick on Commander and all that, he just knows we need him so bad, because they can tell stories. But there's so few young men under 35 today, under 40, that's men's men, that's leaders and that's doers, and that will follow and excel. I mean, and be leaders. But it's just such a thrill. I tell you what, I could not be here the next 18 months, and this company would set such incredible records. There'd never been nothing like it in the history of time. with just these two guys right here, just these two, and neither one of them killed herself. So that's just what we got. But it's just going to push on up, and they'll be the consultants of this thing 4 to 18 months. There'll be other presidents, and there'll be national marketing directors, and so many things be unreal. But what did Brian done on this relaxing thing, he just took that over there from Jake and from Jim Thomason and just found out that, hey, Brian Riddle used to get so uptight because he hadn't already made it. That was the big trouble. Tom Thomas here, you'll hear it right on the tape. He was so tight because he's supposed to have it now. What the tape taught, he's a good man, he worked, he knows he should. Well, that's true. What if I'd have done that? I would have killed my own self before now. Tracy has worried. Y'all see Tracy, my own son, gets the top. You know, because he's still mad. He thinks I should have been a billionaire when I was these boys' age. Well, that's right. But what would I have done from then on? See, that's what you don't understand about life. If you was where you go already now, what would you do next?
That's what he told me.
And Brian just, oh yeah, Brian got so insulted. He's done figured out now. Mr. Turner worked it out where that Brian Riddle got this hot rod that he's been wanting. I even went to look at one in Alabama for him, and his cotton-picking girl, his cotton-picking six-cylinder.
I was going to tell about that.
They do everything. I don't even have to do none of that. And what I'm saying is that only thing I am around for is the pattern. That's the only thing. And y'all got so much of the pattern in the film. Just let us do that. And let us do that even between now and Calgary. Let me just kind of catch up on a little of these other affairs. Hey, this is what I want to do. 7 divisional. This is what I want to do. I want to go here to Ron Van Beek's store. Next weekend, I want you to send them all to, I want you to get them stores done. Between now and Calgary, Canada, at least 49. Y'all got that
Pattern
figured
them
out?
after the Gary.
Pattern them after the Brian Riddle, Pat Allen, Gary Peters story. Gary done just exactly. He went and listened to the Brian Riddle story and probably even got to hear the Pat Allen story. He didn't have much time to hear. I don't know how he heard the Brian Riddle story. But pattern them after the Gary Peters story, the Brian Riddle story, and the Pat Allen story. It's just telling. It's a 60-minute, 50-minute testimonial. Let somebody that looks up to you introduce you. We're going to take the introduction off the Dirty Dozen tapes where Mark Buffett introduced Gary Peters one day and used it instead of James Tollison. He done a better job. And Tom Thomas wouldn't be here. He's just like Brian Riddle. Tom Thomas is a man's man, the leader. Yeah. He's already nearly made $1 million one time. And he's the only one that knew that introduction wasn't that good other than a couple of these other boys. And Tom just been with us 3 months, but he admitted I didn't. I was too close to him. In other words, and then I was above Gary, and then if the one introduced him was like that. Now, I'd said that I was going to introduce, but I done found out that it's better if somebody else does. Just like that Rodney Tollison introduced Pat Allen on the Pat Allen story. So we're going to switch it around, but let somebody that looks up to you, somebody like out there in California, before all your boys is gone, Nick, if you have to get another one. But oh, that Dave Thompson there, he'd be one to do it.
Yeah. Don't need but one. That's it.
Get them stories made. Get them stories made and let me hear them. Get them in. Then you take in your boys and all your people. See? And you get them out to them. Switch them around. Charge them $2 a piece. Y'all get them run off and all that. Stick on Tinker Toy labels. It don't matter. Just write on it. See? And it'll make it more personal. Don't make it look so professional. And just put on there the story. But get them into me and let Miss Allen and I just wire back and hear them stories. Because I don't even know. I did so much I don't know about the people. I didn't know that much even about Doug Turner yet. It's just we've had to work. But we can get to do it that way. And what made us come up with the idea is you talking on the phone. You can't tell a person about you. So then from now on, so the first ones it'll be, and you cotton picking divisionals. Now, it's not an ego thing, it's business. But you divisionals, get them stories made quick and drop them down through the divisions. And you're in the divisions,
use them, and then you sell the one up there. Man, he's a business vice president. You come into this cotton picking center here that's where we got the cotton picking dirty, well, 2042, and I'm telling you what, we're making history and we're beating out every other division. Come in here and we can meet these people. And you can meet, oh, so-and-so, but do them stories, and that's what we want to hear, and I'm just going to get down and shut up, and congratulations, Doug. I tell you what, he deserved it, the monster boy. It's always worked.
Here, sir, I'll let you.
Let's do it right at the end when we get done. Okay? Doug Turner, yeah! Yeah! Oh, y'all sit down. Let me tell that story real quick. We got to get out of here. Now Rodney's looking at me. I told him back there, I said, when you look at him, it helps. He said, I know. I tried to get up back here. So, but that story, we was going around. Mr. Towson had bought a car in Florida, and he drove it. He said he was going to drive it into Phoenix. It was a Trans Am, and like he says, it would outrun a telephone call. And he got as far as Jackson, Mississippi, and said, to heck with this, and he flew in. He didn't have time to drive it across, Colleen. And so he flew into Phoenix from Jackson, and it just so happened it worked out just right, and we got to go. I flew back with him to Jackson. We picked up the car, so we're driving. We're hitting all these Doers Club rallies through Texas and Oklahoma and all around. He got to show me Longview, Texas, and it was the first time that we ever really got to spend any time together. And let me tell you what, if you don't think that Jake Stone or James Towson is the same all the time, you've got another thing coming. My head was like a sucked-out orange every night when I went to bed. Can you imagine? I mean, you've been in a pretty good-sized meeting here today, but I was sitting in that little bucket seat, and we're going, you don't jump out at 60 miles an hour, and you don't cut it off. And we had a tape recorder hanging from the rearview mirror. Them tapes are somewhere where we was talking. We stopped at a Kmart or something, bought a tape recorder, and hung it by the rearview mirror, and he's talking. Remember what he said about the Dirty Dozen? Bam, 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 bam. And then they go sell. Well, I didn't get to go. I mean, that's just there. For, I think it was 5 days or so. I don't even remember how many days it was, 5 or 6 days. And so we're in Oklahoma City, and he just about had killed me. I mean, I just about gone. And Mr. Turner has no earthly idea how tired I was those times he saw me. Mr. Towson taught me one thing, and Jake Stone taught me one thing. Always, when the people around you are getting tired, you get stronger. And then I just, from that day on, I said, okay. And I never would show Mr. Turner how tired I was. He thought I just fresh as a daisy. Yeah. And most time I really was, because I've been trained to do that. And when you think that, guess what happens? You could get fresh as a daisy. It only takes just a little bit. The minute you start thinking you're tired, guess what? You're tired. So don't think it. Just don't think it. But anyway, so we're in Oklahoma City, and the finest hotel I've ever stayed in. We walked in there, and I'm looking at it. It had French doors on the front. They left the Wall Street Journal there in the morning. They had a room here with a phone in it, and you walk through the hallway, and here's the bathroom, the closet, and there's a bedroom in there. And I'd never been in a hotel room where there was a hallway. And so, and he told me that night something else. And if you all think, a bunch of you think this work and all this, we ain't done nothing. Don't you understand? Didn't you just absolutely, I mean, I was hurting for Rodney when he was telling that last night. I said, mankind, he walked through the week telling that. And then what he told today, you know, I laughed so hard because he'd never told when that bus trip, when he come back in with the bus, he'd told it all the way up to where he circled the buses in the parking lot. But he's just like Jake Stone. He always saves a little for every time he tells it. And he told it, but that time, but then he said that Jake Stone lined the people up to shake the hands. I said, oh, jeez. Oh, ooh, that's absolutely, that is cotton picking Brady Steele Esslinger's great-great-granddaddy done that. I mean, line them up to shake the hands, and there's nobody on the bus. Man. But when he's talking about that, just, geez, how fortunate are we? How fortunate are we? Let's don't go crazy. Let's be solid with it. Frank, I'm so proud of him and Tim. They held it. They've been doing a lot better until last night. Man, God, I thought they was gonna both go. I'm thinking, geez, I thought they was gonna both go into orbit. And I told Tim, I said, Jim, man, get back over there, tell Frank, hey, geez. And so now I'm having to say it. It's like you say, geez, man, you say, you know. And I got so excited. I mean, I'm telling you what, I blew past this weekend, and with all this announcements, I have blew past as excited as I was the first day I started. But Jake Stone's taught me how to just, okay. And he always says, bounce the basketball like this. Didn't he? And he always taught us just bounce the basketball. Don't go crazy. Don't go out there and blow it. Tell you what Dan Kennedy told me. You're all going to be rich as long as you don't do something to screw it up. And that could be you go too crazy. So anyway, we're in this hotel room in Oklahoma City. And he told me that night a story again. He said, always, Brian, thank God and appreciate that we've got these tapes. And he said, if this was the old days, and this was 1 o'clock in the morning after being on the road, you know, and I'm about dead, right? I don't know how you went 5 years to 7 years like that. How did he do it? Jake just kept telling him, when they get weak, you get stronger. And so he did. He told you that then, didn't he, Rod? He didn't just come up with that when he told me. So anyway, he tells me if this was the old days, you'd be on the phone in that room, I'd be on the phone in this room, we'd be rolling people out of bed back on the West Coast and the East Coast and all over. And we'd be on the phone till morning, then we'd catch a plane, we'd get some sleep, and we'd have a meeting that morning, a breakfast meeting the next morning. We'd sleep on the plane a little, and I'm going, you know. I'm saying, you know, it kind of, I said, Jude. I know how he talks about how great Brian Riddle is, and I think, you know, you ever wonder, maybe if you'd have had some more bad, you'd appreciate this more. In other words, and I blew past this weekend being more excited than I was the day I started. And let me tell you what, I've asked him for about the last year and a half. I asked him one day, I said, sir, how do you get that back? In other words, because, man, when I first got started, I could walk upside down on ceilings and over walls and around sideways. But it wasn't solid. It was ridiculous. I went crazy. I blew a bunch of people out. I messed up a bunch of people on my funeral list. I didn't do right. Don't you go back with your funeral list and mess those people up. You be calm, and you bounce the ball like this, and you walk them through the steps, and you do it right. Don't you dare go out there. You've heard enough stories about people going out and going crazy and so excited that they mess up their own mother, their own daddy, their own people. Now, don't do that. And so, I mean, don't do that. That's stupidity. And you know better than to do that now. Now, I should have known better to do that then. I mean, if you're alive, you should know better than to do that. But I didn't think. I wasn't thinking. I was bruised. I wasn't thinking. So anyway, he told me that night, and I said, geez, but, you know, Mr. Rodney Mr. Mars painted such a picture last night of that's the first time I really totally understood how hard they worked. And I don't even know if I totally still do. But you'd have to been there, I think. But where I really said, gee, I mean, my stomach was just twisted. I said, man, kind them guys where they work. Yes, sir. Yeah. They had men's meetings. I mean, it was just the men in there, wasn't it? Bunch of you that just said, oh, have been getting them wives on the extension phone. Oh.
tape. So we have me and Sessions, remember when Claire talked about?
Yeah. All men.
We just didn't know.
No wonder it's so hard. They have tried everything. I mean, they have tried everything. I believe. Jeez. So, but anyway, so we're in that hotel room, and this is so funny. 'Cause I'll never forget when I lived to be 182. That I'm laying in bed, and I hear, you know how you unconsciously hear the shower going on, and I can't believe this, that the shower's going on already, right? This meeting don't start till 9, what on earth? And so I open up, I hear something, and I open up one eye, and there's Mr. Thompson. He says, Brian, he said, grab a tree and shake it and say, my dog's in the lead. And and I don't know what it was, but I started laughing. I must have laughed for 30 minutes. I couldn't stop laughing, and then I was ready to go again. It just took one little thing. He got me laughing again, and boy, I was ready to go again. And he just taught you something up here. You know, that must have been the 100th time he's introduced me, and he knew he was short on time and all of this, but he won't do it. He won't do it halfway. You watch him, I mean, every time standing over there going, geez. I mean, he's introduced me probably 150 times. I don't know how many times he introduced me, but he did every time. When you hear them introductions on your James E. Tollison Future Millionaire Homestead Training Course on Empire Building and hearing these sessions, you're supposed to be learning from that too. Because you're going to be having them regional Doers Family Club workshops out there and this and that. One of the things on that Ron Van Beek story, when he hears it, the introduction ain't right. Ain't even close. I mean, it ain't even an introduction.
Like on those introductions, and taking the time to do it right when you do it. That's what we're saying. When you go out there, sure, that's why we've had long sessions. Take the time to do it right.
That's right. Well.
Yeah. When Brian just said, that simple thing that is on the page 100 places. Y'all laugh like you've never heard it before. When he said that his head was like a sucked out arm. Now that is all over the course of thousands.
Yeah, it is. It's all over it.
But that's like the first time you ever heard it. Now when I started telling that milking story, you can use our story. You repeat what Jake Stone is saying. Just tell it. Mr. Stone said this. Jim Tollison said it. Tell the stories, but say that I said it. You know what I'm saying? That's why jokes don't count. Don't ever tell a joke in these rallies. That's foolish. It's always got to make a point. So say that Mr. Tollison tells a funny story on the board. It's just one of a bunch, and I'm going to try to tell it to you. And y'all all heard it live anyhow. Then they'll live. And then you tell it. And it'll still, there'll be somebody there that says, well, that's a miracle. I never heard that story. They was 50 in this room. Bob, your head was like a sucked out orange, so you might cry. And that's okay. Just now, and y'all heard that 100 times. But you had never heard it. See, so you're the leaders and the epitome of the leaders. And sure, every introduction, everything is important in the process of causing 2 people per hour to go for millionaires.
Yeah.
Everything.
That introduction be going worldwide on them stories. I mean, it's got to be right. I just figured up something, Colleen. And I'm doing my dangest not to go crazy. But you know, in 100 days with just that little old bitty Phoenix mail order there with 20 people in it, they only put out 100 a day of the Cash Now programs a piece per day. In 100 days, that'll be $56 million in business. Counting at a low percentage that Colleen will absolutely whoop them to death if they don't get a higher percentage than 20%. I'm going to get her a ruler. Miss Turner hated that ruler. Wasn't that you? Or who was that? It was somebody telling me about their character. They hated that cotton picking. Oh, it was Alana. It was Alana. They had the ruler, and so you can slap them with it. Time they ain't talking right. All Phoenix mail orders here, right? Yeah. Commander says, oh. But that's 56 million. Figure the numbers up on it. It's incredible. Oh, Chris over here. You know what I always thought about that? On the spaceship, Mr. Towson, I always figured in 20 years from now, we'll have so many replacements, we probably won't have nothing to do. And so we just build one. We'll probably need something to do. And so we just, you ever see, Mr. Towson talks about it on the tapes about Andy Griffith, and I saw that movie. I loved it. It was called Salvage. He built him a spaceship in the back of his backyard. He owned a junkyard. And he took stuff, and he welded it together and went to the moon and brought back about $10 million worth of stuff they left up there. So, Chris, don't worry about it. But I do. Yes.
But Colleen Sullivan was working over here practically for nothing in Florida. But still made her some good money in the last 12 days, 15, because she sold something. But when she comes in to the head of company mail order there, she's still got all of her personal, but she's going to make an override on that whole thing.
I didn't want to tell her till she got there. Yeah.
They don't know how that you get to be there. That island, Brian Riddle, when he first come in as president of the company, was making about 10,000 down there, wasn't he?
Yeah. And that's what I was telling to Frank and Tim last night is, hey, I said, look, maybe.
But now what you get? You know what I'm saying?
Everybody's important.
Colleen will collect her money now in the next month or two. She probably be one of the highest paid people in Canada. They have the most cash in pocket.
Mr. Towson said it the first day, or Mr. Jake Stone did, the reason a bunch of you won't do it is you'll sell 4 or 5 of the James E. Tolleson Future Millionaire Homestead Train Course on the Empire Building and put your feet up on the desk. Colleen had to keep selling. And Miss Allen, yeah, she's going for $200 an hour. But yeah, but I never, wherever that Jake Stone or Mr. James Tolleson said I needed to be is where I was. And I tell the story and we laugh and all this about how I didn't want to come in there, but let me tell you what, there wouldn't have been nothing held me back from coming in there. You all know that. Me and Shelby laughed about it and said, oh, Shelby told me it was going to happen, you know that? 2 days before. He said, they're fixing to bring you into the home office. I said, no. I said, man, I'm the only ones, me and you's the only ones selling anything. They wouldn't do that. I get a call, and man, it sounded, you know, and I hear Mr. Towson, and I know how he preps. You know, I have heard enough of the tapes by then. I know how he's, you know, he's talking to me, and I feel, oh, here it comes. I know something big's coming. Shelby goes, they're going to do it. He's standing there. I never told Dad. He's standing there going, they're going to do it right now. That's a call right there. And sure enough, they said it, and I said, oh, I couldn't believe it. And so, but don't matter. Wasn't near as much money, so what? That don't matter. If this is really your baby, it don't matter to you neither. And so I know the rewards are there later on, and I just know that. And so if you really know this is your baby, you'll know that too. That's no big deal. And so, but anyway, there's a lot of stories like that. There's a lot of people that's done that. Alana Scherer, Mr. Britt, and I mean, a lot of us, we laugh sometimes when we say, well, we had a field management structure one time with we never did get to divisional, but we had Shelby, when you was national, did you ever get a check? Don't you understand? We're ready to go, guys. And y'all field management will get your checks. because we're ready to go. And so anyhow, you got a bunch to lose if you hadn't figured it up yet. The Revenge of the Ninja. It's the Revenge of the Ninja. I saw it about a week ago. Oh, jeez. You know them guys know 1,000 ways to kill a person? Now, you watch it for the right reasons. The reason some of you didn't stand up yesterday on your business manager, and we're going to quit calling it character. It's a business manager. That even helped me when we said that. When we said business manager, I said, oh, I can even see that better. Then when they said, did I tell y'all why I've named mine? No, I didn't say. I've told it so many times. I called up and I told everybody they had to have my business manager. Well, Ron, I got 4 or 5 in there, and everybody had to tell their version of what I told them. And it better all be the same, but just in case it wasn't, I had 4 telling it. So one of them's bound to get it right. So, but anyway, the business manager. See, I never could see John Steele. And you that still hadn't decided you got to have a business manager, you best decide, or you're going to stay broke. Because I never could see John Steele, really. I mean, I used him a little bit, but nothing like that, because it wasn't a person. And it doesn't. The whole name don't have to be the person, but you got to have something to hook it to. And when he explained that, I really went crazy when he explained that. I got really excited when he was telling me about that, because I need one, guys. I mean, geez. And that company in there, if I don't have a business manager in there, y'all won't get nothing in the field. If Brian Riddle runs that company, it'll go broke. And so will you out in the field. Now, I did say I got carried away. I do that sometimes. I got carried away, and I was going to bury Brian Riddle, man. I was going to get me a tombstone, bury that sucker in the backyard. Then I figured after the 100 days, I'd put him back over the thing in the closet and then bring it out when I needed to. That's overboard. That's ridiculous. That's stupid. You got to have both. See, I've got to have Brian Riddle. I don't want to be totally like Mr. I added a Mr. to it. It's Mr. Brady Esslinger Steele. And the Mr. stands for Mr. Harold Kenneth Barringer, the gentleman that you've heard me talk about. If you hadn't, you'll hear it on the tapes. It was real tough on us in that boys' ranch. The Brady stands for, some of you, they ain't heard it, he told all of us that if we wanted to really kill ourselves, he told us there was books in the library to show us how to do it. He had us all line up one day. Some of the girls had been slitting their wrists, and they'd slit them about 1/4 inch and bleed a little bit and cry. And somebody'd run him to the hospital. Oh, he come in, his cigar, he had a cigar in his mouth that was usually about that long, and I think it was one of them that Jake Stone just took out of his pocket or something that he let sit for a week. And he chewed on them for a week at a time before he spit them out and got him a new one. Never did light them, I don't think. I don't know if I ever saw him smoke one. He was chew on it. Big, he was about this tall and about this big, about that big around. I mean, he was, and you know why he done all that stuff? He knew exactly why he was doing it. Just like Jake, he knew if he didn't do it, we were gonna be losers for sure. And that guy's lived all of his life on less than a 1% success rate, kind of like that James Tollison and Jake Stone have up until now. Not too many. I mean, there's a bunch out there that's done big things, but there's also a bunch ain't done nothing compared to what they could do. Just like those customers we got out there right now. Right now, the ones you ought to be concentrating on is the people we've already sold to. That's who you start building your team with. We've got 3,000 of them out there somewhere, and they're out there just like Mr. Tollison said. They're being selfish. They ain't sharing it with other people, and sooner or later, it ain't going to work for them, and they're going to blame whoever sold it to them or the company or somebody. Because no matter how big it goes, or they're out there just, they're now bought that $20,000 a month is making a lot of money or something. They're comfortable in a different position, a bunch of them. Show them how to use the tools and equipment. Them are the ones I'd start right with them. I bet you Mr. Brett does. Bet you Mr. Brett gets every one of them rounded up in that. There must be 400 or 500 up in that region. There's a bunch up there. It's just, oh, they're happy, they're running around and all this. I'm saying somebody get a hold of them and show them how to really go. And then these business people you talk to, I mean, wouldn't this, he showed you how to do it. He showed you just how to hire people, didn't he? Put them on the cash down program. Did he tell you how he'd do it in the hotel? How he'd hire employees, how he'd do all that? That's just how you do it. You eliminate and you get them with the tape. Both ways. Put them on the cash down. I mean, if that guy ain't jumping up and down and this and that, and yeah, you got to sell him. You don't just, you got to sell him. I'm saying he's going to have to prove himself to me before he goes to work for me. Isn't he you? Or are you just going to take anybody? I wouldn't. And Mr. Thompson said, have your slots open all the time. If I didn't have any open, I'd make some. But what was I saying before that? Oh, on the name. Mr. Then Brady was my grandfather, and he was a millionaire. Now, he wasn't no cash millionaire. He had a lot of assets, and he had that kind of stuff. But he was tough. He's the one that used to sharpen this 2x4 off, not sharpen it, but make a handle on it. And when a pig wouldn't go in its farrowing crate, he'd get it in there, and he'd beat that pig till it laid on the floor with its tongue hanging out, nearly dead. And let me tell you what, that pig would never give you no trouble going in that crate ever again. Anybody ever do that in here? Farrowing pigs? You ever do that? Did you ever really beat on one like that? It works, don't it? And that's all he cared about. And I thought he's killing that pig. He said, oh, Brian, you can't hurt them pigs. Cotton picking hides that thick. You can't hurt them pigs. But boy, let him catch us running them around out in the cotton picking field. He'd kill us. He'd beat us because we're running all the weight off of them. That's what you raise them for, to get some weight on them. So he'd do stuff like that, and I'm hanging from the rafters getting away from this pig because it's got its teeth out. I mean, he'd bare its teeth at him, and he'd just absolutely walk right into it, kick it, get it out of the way. I mean, a big sow, not a little pig, a big sow that just had 12 babies. You ever been around one of those? Yeah, they get a little nasty. But grandfather didn't, I mean, just boom. He just walk in there, just walk right into it, and I'm going, you know, and he's telling me, you know. He's telling me to help him put him in there, and I'm scared to death. And you know what? I was always the one that got chased up into the rafters because I'd back off. And boy, them sows knew it. If you'd back off, they'd really go after you. But so he was tough, and he worked and he worked and he worked and he worked. He worked. 72 years old, and there ain't one of you in this room keep up with him. There really ain't. I'd have a hard time keeping up with him when he was 72 years old. We'd walk out through the timber and cut thistles and spray thistles and keep the fence, all that stuff. He'd be at the house every morning at 6:30, all the time, every day, every day, every day, every day, except Sunday. Sunday was his day, where he'd go to church and then he'd rest around the house and everything. And he was old-fashioned. I'm not even sure if he even liked grandmother, but in them days you didn't get a divorce. I'm serious. I'm serious. He did and he didn't. It was one big mistake he made is he didn't leave no replacements. But then Esslinger was a big, this guy just got goosebumps again every time I say his name. He's the one I'm going to use the most, by the way. Esslinger. He was 6'6" Texan, and he ran the boys' ranch where I was raised. He said probably 500 words to me the whole 4 years I was there, and 495 of them was the day I left. You did not say, look at goosebumps. I'm telling you, that man, he used to wear pants like this. I swore I'd never wear pants like that. He used to wear them like this, and he'd hike them up to about here. And then he was like, his hands, and when he used to walk, he'd walk like this, and he'd just do stuff while he was walking. He walked fast, and he'd do stuff. His arms were, he was incredible. And you didn't say nothing. If he come out, he lived right across the street from his house. I remember one night he come across the street, sweat pouring down his cotton-picking nose, went down the hallway, his fist and his feet was kicking our cotton-picking doors open on our bedrooms. We was all asleep, but he'd got a call that said we wasn't asleep, that we was out in the neighborhood raising cane. He took us all down in. Of course, we used to sneak back up in the fire escape. Now, that night we didn't. We really hadn't been doing it. We really didn't. He didn't believe it either. He took us all downstairs and he whooped about half of us. He never did get to me, but he whooped about half of us, and then he figured out we really didn't do it. Never apologized, nothing. Oh, I hated him for that. I said that jerk. He should apologize. We all said that. But if you saw him come out of his house, come down the sidewalk or something, you didn't immediately turn and go the other way. You just made like that's the way you was going. Because if he thought you were running from him, you was in trouble. He's like Jake. He knew everything, what was going on. He knew everything. And when you passed him on the sidewalk, you had to have a lot of guts, and he had to look right at you. He had bushy eyebrows. You ever see them, where did you see it, like them wizard movies where them wizards got them big, I'm not talking about bushy, I'm talking about big bushy eyebrows. And his eyes was in his head. And he was, you know, he's a pretty good-looking guy. He wasn't ugly. I mean, he was like a good-looking man, I guess you'd say. And he was definitely a VIP. But when, I mean, you didn't want to look at him, but you didn't know what to do. You just didn't know what to do. If he said good morning to you, then you'd say good morning, sir. But if he didn't say something first, you had to have a lot of guts to even open your mouth. And you just knew. I've heard him whoop his belt off. Man, he'd whoop his belt off and go click, 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 like that. I mean, he didn't back off when he whooped his belt off either. So then steel, just hard as everything. That's not a human that I know. But the Mr. Brady Esslinger Steel. And it's meant so much to me since we come up with it, because I've already used him a time or two this weekend, and it's wonderful, because then Brian Riddle can be happy. I walked up somewhere the other day. I said, now, Brian Riddle wouldn't say this to you, but Brady Esslinger Steel says you got to do this. And then Brian Riddle goes off. He's happy. And that old bad Brady Esslinger. It's incredible how it works. I love it. And it gets things done. And if you don't got one, you better decide to get one. Now, Jake Stone, as much as you've heard him on the tapes, you wouldn't even be in this room if it wasn't for Jake Stone. Jake Stone has never run off a soul that was really with us. There's been a few went, they never even made it through the whole day, saying, but they didn't belong in the room anyway. They was messing up the other. You ever hear one bite apple and all that? Well, that's all. Jake's never run nobody off. Jake has always, when Mr. Tossin just said, or Mr. Stone said that I watched him and all this, sure I did. And if he'd ever faltered and all that, sure he's right on that. And it was Jake Stone that kept Brian Riddle around. And if you counted it up, I absolutely guarantee you that Jake Stone has helped thousands of times more people than James Tollison. And he's helped you more than James Tollison. And so why wouldn't you have one? Wouldn't you be a fool then not to have one? Well, and why didn't you stand up? Oh, I know some of you had different reasons. I ain't beating on you for not standing up. But I'm saying get you one. Get you one. You got to have one. I wrote some stuff down here, but we really got to get going. You can pick up in the back, that's something, the TV schedules. We got the TV schedules in the back, and we got these report sheets. Geez, he does look at you, doesn't he? Geez. That's not, yeah. Okay, Brady, yeah, Mars, be quiet over there. I'm doing something. Cotton picking Mars, I'm telling you what. In any sense, he'd be worth $10 billion already. That's Brady Esslinger Steel. See how easy it is? Oh, I wrote down what kept me fresh as a daisy was the work. Every time in my life I've ever got too much sleep, I was groggy all the time. Ain't you like that? When you sleep too much, when your blood's not flowing? Oh, boom, boom. I wrote down here, I said, you know, I started thinking I could maybe be getting a little tired until a ribbon on the package came in the mail. And I plugged in the Dirty Dozen commits, and I went bananas. I went crazy. I said, holy cow. I wrote down whoopee, whoopee, whoopee.